Hi, I'm Connor Ford, and I'm recording this because I had some computer problems during the Zoom presentation that we had. Um, but here is my advanced design project. So, what I did for it overall was I made the intention of a sort of climbing mechanic. So, you would normally just have your typical movement already laid out, like the first person or third person templates, like I had. Um, and then it was basically in addition to that. So, whenever you went to a climbable wall, then the character or player would basically attach to that wall and begin climbing up it and change your movement so that you wouldn't be able to move normally otherwise while you're on that wall, and you would instead move upwards. Meanwhile, you would be able to get off of the wall during the climb. So, like if you're mid climb and you wanted to get off the wall, you would hit like space and then it would drop you back down. So, the main systems I had for this was the wall connection. So, it would be not where every wall would be climbable. So what I did was I made a trigger box attached to a wall as an actor. So those would be the climbable walls, and you would only be able to interact with and climb those as opposed to any other basic wall. And then there is a movement switching sort of mechanic or system to it. So whenever you do attach to that wall, then it changes your movement so that you can't move as normally as usual. So, like, you would lose the ability to jump to make yourself move upwards instead, thus kind of transforming your jump from what it normally is into a wall detachment instead. Um, which brings us to the third main system of it, which is the wall disconnect. So you'd be able to remove yourself from the wall by using the same input for jumping, in which case it would normally be spacebar, in order to go back to normal. But within any point of you being on the wall, you could be just starting, you could be mid climb, you could be almost at the top, anything. Um, and as for the communications between the main systems, so the player communicates with the movement switch all the time, such as determining if they're attached to the wall or not relies on, or the movement switch relies on that to be able to function. And then that movement switch tells the movement systems themselves to change over to not be normal so that you would have your movement speed and everything changed while you're climbing. As for smaller details, the template I used to work on this project within Unreal is the third person standard template. And my main variables in this, the most important one I used was a Boolean just to determine if the player is attached to the wall or not. I made a movement speed adjustment as a float, so it would slow down your movement speed, and another float for your player fall off. So that would be like your timer that you would be able to change um, to determine how long you can stay on a wall in order to be forced off. I didn't need any other tools for the project to work, but if there's further development, I would need like Maya for assets or Maya for models, animations to make them myself, the Unreal Store just for assets, and things like Audacity for audio, etc. Overall, my project went pretty well, given that I didn't have any previous experience with programming or development in Unreal at all. Besides, I was taught how to basically just assemble textures and materials from my previous degree program. Um, the main issue with my project, though, is it doesn't work as completely intended, but you'll see. So if we go in to the actual template to go and demonstrate this, so as you can see, I used the third person template, just typical. You move around normally, and then I have these walls with triggers on them, and I set up just a little double climbing thing. So if you get close enough to a wall, then you begin to climb upwards. And then you climb upwards until you reach the top, in which case you get to the next platform. And if you wanted to, say, get off the wall while you're in the middle of climbing, then you would just hit space and you'd fall right off. So you'd go back to normal. And all you gotta do is just hit the trigger box and let yourself climb up, and you get up to the next platform. How this isn't... Oh, the one way this isn't exactly how I intended is I wanted to have it so that you could move freely up, down, left, and right while you're on the wall in order to be more of a free climb sense of things. However, the entire time I was thinking about it and working on it and everything, no matter how many tutorials and everything I looked through, I could not figure out how to change the movement plane from regular to vertical so you would be able to move vertical. And I did find one thing to basically make you move vertical, but let's see that. So all of my blueprint work is added to the third person character. The only other thing I added was this actor, which is just a wall with a trigger box attached to it. But that's only there to basically act as your interaction point. At first I started working on my blueprints in that actor, but then I realized that I only needed this as basically the ignition for everything. So in order to start, so as soon as you start playing, we're setting all of our variables at the same time, so just setting everything to begin with. So you would start off with your attached to wall boolean turned off, so game knows you're not attached to the wall at all. It would set your player fall off speed or timer at 5 seconds, and your move speed at it would be 0.5, so that would be like while you're on the wall, whenever you get on it, your movement speed would be taken down by half. And then in order to actually trigger yourself with the wall, once the third person character actor actually goes and overlaps with the trigger box from the wall, then it would set the attached to wall variable to true, which would then also begin the delay of falling off, and after that delay it would set the attached to wall variable back to false. And then if you get out of the trigger box, so if you end your overlap with it, then it would just simply set it back to false. Same thing as if you wanted to manually get off of the wall just by jumping, then whenever you jump while you're on the wall, it would immediately just consider you as not on the wall anymore, so you would just fall off and go back to normal. And I added stuff to the jump function within the character, so as long as you're not attached to the wall, then you can jump. So pretty much this just says, hey, are you attached to the wall? If you are, then you're not doing anything, so you can't jump while you're on the wall. because your jump while you're on the wall is dedicated to something else anyway, which is just getting off of the wall, so you can't move upwards as a jump anymore. And then if you're not on the wall, then you can just jump as normal. I didn't do things with the touch mouse and gamepad input. I just moved those off to the side because I didn't want to delete them for fear of breaking something. But other than that, I also edited the movement a little. So basically, as soon as you're attached to the wall, what it does is, if you're attached to the wall, then your forward movement is going to be just transformed into launching your character upwards at a steady rate. So that's the way I figured out how to actually make the character move vertically. So what I have it doing is, as soon as you're attached to the wall, then you start like going up. It's more of an automatic kind of climbing, essentially. And in hindsight, it feels kind of more like if you jumped onto a fan and it slowly blew you upwards or something. But I still think it turned out pretty cool anyway. And then if you're not attached to the wall, then it lets you move as normal. And then same with the move right axis. So if you're moving left and right with A and D as normal, then it'll only let you do so if you're not attached to the wall. So if you are attached to the wall, then you can't move. And other than that, that is my project. So pretty much just you get to one of these climbable walls. It doesn't work on any other wall because of the trigger box, and if you go to a wall, then it makes you climb up. And then once you get to that top part of the wall and you get off, go to the next platform, you encounter another climbable wall, and you go up.